What is up, everybody? It is Troy here. Hopefully you guys are having a great Thursday night. Very excited to be with you. Those that are joining me live, just say hi, give me a thumbs up in the chat. I'm going to be keeping an eye on that tonight. We've got quite a bit of fun stuff to cover with you guys. So very excited to bring this all together. As you have seen, we are ready to effectively unveil our product research tool. So I'm going to deep dive into that. Highlight for you what you're able to do now with some of the most powerful data. So I know we're just starting now at 7 o'clock. So again, just let me know. Hi, Aiden. Great Thursday to you as well. Let me know once you hit the chat. Say hi. Let me know where you're coming from. Would love to hear from you. And with that, we will jump in here in a moment. Just want to let everybody settle in. Hi from UK. Wow. Okay. Great. Thank you for joining us. A little late in the UK. Appreciate you making the time and joining this live. And like I said, I encourage you guys as we're going through everything. I've got the comments pulled up here. I can see it as we hop into everything. And I'm going to be the lone presenter. It's just me, no Brendan. But I'm going to do the best I can to make sure we cover everything that you guys need to know with Prizm, with Seller.Tools, and what we are effectively unveiling. Hi, Tim from Texas. Hopefully Texas is nice. I don't know how the weather is right now in Texas. It's typically rainy. Hey, Will, thanks for joining us. Awesome. You guys are coming in as we go, and I'm just going to give it just a quick 2 minutes before we dive right in to what we've got ready. So again, hopefully everybody's doing good, and hopefully the 7 o'clock time is good. I'm really happy to see Essensi. I apologize if I mispronounced that. Joining us from the UK. So hopefully you're not too mad at us for a little later on Thursday. Hi, Matthew from Mesa, Arizona. Arizona is hot. Yeah, I can bet. Hey, Brendan, thanks for joining us. Cool. Awesome. Well, I am going to go ahead and get us started because we've got a lot to cover, and I want to make sure I make the most use of your guys' time. And we're a little bit, I like to think somewhat atypical when we do our webinars, our walkthroughs, our lives. We really don't like them to be pitch heavy or over-educate, like spend too much time on things that are meant to be very straightforward. As a tool provider, that's really what we should aim to do. So it's very intuitive for us, and that's really what we strive for with this content, to be very straightforward. We shouldn't take an hour to explain something that's meant to be quick for you and your business, right? That really doesn't make sense. And so as with this content, future content, hopefully we've done a good job in past content. We want to make sure what we're delivering to you in value is a little bit more immediate, because when you're spending a lot of time, then you're losing that return on your investment, right? Because your time is immensely valuable. So yeah, I see you guys joining us from New Zealand. Yeah, midnight in the UK. So really appreciate you guys joining us live with the time difference. And appreciate you having. So make sure you ask your questions, because I want to make sure I tackle those, give you the most value for hopping on while we are live. And I think with that, let's jump right into it. And as I mentioned, we're going to dive right into a few things. Prizm, we'll touch on a little bit later, and what that entails for product research and the change to our space. But first, what I want to really tackle is what we do differently at Seller.Tools. What we always aim to strive to achieve is delivering exclusive or unique value to our users. And really what that means is making sure it's stuff you can't get anywhere else, because as competitive as the seller marketplace is, it's kind of equally competitive on the software side, which is really good, because that ensures that sellers are getting the best from SaaS solutions, software providers, different platforms, because we have to rise to another level. We've got to outcompete, outpace, deliver more value, and that's really what we aim to do with exclusive features. When we can say you can't get it anywhere else, we aren't focusing so much on quantity, we're focusing on quality, what's really safeguarding your time. And I like to think that's a reflection of the fact that Seller.Tools was put together by sellers. We are immensely careful with the time that we invest on different activities. And so if the tool that we're using requires us to manually check index, or we're dealing with non-features, things we can get for free online, we feel that is a waste of our investment and our valuable time. And that's really where these exclusive come into play and aim to deliver some unique value for you. So I just rattled off just kind of a few that we've released really in the past few weeks, past few days. And I'll mention them here, and then we can dive right into Seller.Tools and highlight these. So stock on hand, you guys are going to love this. This is a brand new, again, exclusive feature. Reviewable with VP visibility, which entails verified purchase. That lets you know if you're only verified purchase, you're only eligible to receive reviews for verified purchases. So you have review eligibility across the board, both verified and unverified, and you get a green check mark. Those just with verified purchase visibility gets a little unique indication, a little VP on there to let you know. Then, of course, the all-important, making sure that you're aware, if you get a red X, you're not eligible to receive reviews for your ASIN. So if you're spending time and money, as we all should be as Amazon sellers, that could go to waste without that visibility. Reviewable is such a, again, very simple. It doesn't require you a bunch of time, but it's invaluable. You count the number of things that are on one hand that are so important to you as an Amazon seller, and it's like ranking, reviews, and you're like, wait, if I can have visibility and if I'm not eligible to receive reviews, it's a real no-brainer to make sure you have that. Then we've got estimated sales by keyword, brand new feature with keyword insights. I'm going to dive into that. Keyword Wizard, another one where we have been able to deliver expert level keyword research in about 15 minutes. If you really run through this process with great intentions and leverage the tools, they're built out in such a way that it's a very intuitive, powerful sequence. There's really just no better way to do fast and high level keyword research. We could do fast keyword research all day, but are you doing it at that 1% level? And that's really where our team put our heads together and said, okay, we've got these powerful tools. What's a sequence that makes them the most powerful, the most efficient way to deliver it? Then we got sales to demand by keyword. That's also a Keyword Insights unique and exclusive metric. Then we've got more exclusive alerts, and not only alerts that you can use with us, but then obviously we have Facebook Messenger integration. So kind of the coolest way to get alerts beyond kind of the pinnacle is also using something like webhooks, where you could have alerts sent out, let's say, to trigger a subsequent action, or you can have alerts be sent to your Slack team. They're really even the seller that's just starting out, the intermediate seller, can really enjoy that. But our big sellers love that, right? Because they have teams, they've got specific channels, they want people notified right away. They're thinking about how they can email their list or segment mini chat subs and do a lot of really cool things that, based on an alert being triggered and a webhook essentially initiating the subsequent action, you can just do so much. So let's dive into a few of these because I just want to highlight some of these exclusive features. Stock on hand, a very simple and easy one that I think you guys are really going to love. So if I hop into my Seller.Tools account, I'm going to just slide this comments over here, where you're going to find this, and I'm here in my product manager. So let's see, I think I was managing some competitors here for this vitamin C serum. If I click on that ASIN and then navigate over to Competitor Builder, this again is where historically I've been able to manage competitors, approve those that are relevant or not to my ASIN, and create a really nice curated list of ASINs that I can use for PPC, a number of different initiatives. I, of course, can always go in here, just adding in any related products, because we will suggest ASINs for you to be able to review and approve. But this, again, gives you that ability to tack in and add any more that you'd like to have on your radar. Because as you'll notice, with the addition of stock on hand here in Competitor Builder, you'll find it as the last column here on the right. You have full visibility into the stock that is on hand for your competitors. So practical examples, if you have a hijacker, you're going to buy up their inventory. Is that something that's even viable? You have to have that visibility, and you can do this very quickly. I'm going to show you, again, this is why you don't need an hour-long piece of content to go through our features. Request quantity check, and it's right there. And you can do this for every ASIN within your Competitor Builder. Easy, elegant, awesome solution. Just running through again. And if you need to recheck and re-request that, you can just come back in, hover over the magnifying glass, and run a fresh quantity check. But I'm really excited about that exclusive feature, not just because it's simple, but again, because of the exclusivity. We have a lot of folks that are, you're trying to do manual efforts or workarounds or all kinds of other crazy things, where let the tool do the work for you, safeguard your time. If you know your effective hourly rate, if we can save you 100, 200, $300 a month at minimum, we make sure that it makes sense for you to invest in the tools and our tools to get the benefit and really safeguard your time. But the stock on hand, I think, is one that is really going to excite folks because of its simplicity, its need, its level of insight that you have now at a click. Simple and as easy as that. So stock on hand, again, in Competitor Builder, it's going to be the last column on the right. If you guys like that, give me some thumbs up. Hopefully you like that exclusive feature, because we love, again, if we can do something where you can't get anywhere else, it gets really exciting for us, because we want to continue to really navigate some of those areas where it's like, hey, what do our sellers really want to have that isn't just running over reverse 3 years ago we were doing that, 4 years ago, but having this type of visibility is something that's really unique, and we want to deliver that unique value ultimately. Cool. So that is stock on hand. As I mentioned, Reviewable, another exclusive feature. And just for those unaware, very simple and easy to set up. Again, it's found here in your product manager, where you can see whether it's eligible, verified purchase, only eligible, or ineligible. Now, how do you turn this on or off? Just hop into your settings for each product and enable or disable Reviewable. Simple and as easy as that. Now, of course, you can set up alerts. You can ensure that, again, that's pushed to you or the appropriate member of your team. And I'll touch on alerts here in a moment after we hop into keyword insights. But that is as easy as it takes, or as easy as the steps are for configuring and having high-level visibility right now on Reviewable. For everyone that I've got turned on, it's just a quick scroll and a little bit of peace of mind to know that the ASINs that I'm spending money on, really being intentional about capturing reviews for, that I'm actually going to receive them, they're going to process, and they will be posted on my listing. Simple and as easy as that. The next thing I want to highlight for you guys is another exclusive where we're aggregating and analyzing data to give you some really unique insights. And that's why this feature is really aptly named as Keyword Insights. You're going to find it here in your navigation. It's a separate kind of standalone feature right now. And what you need to do is just simply input a keyword. And right now, we don't have every keyword on Amazon. Really, we are able to capture data for the top keywords. It's still millions, but something to keep in mind, and you'll be prompted on the off chance that we don't have data for it yet. But as we aggregate and analyze that data, it will be available here. And so what you essentially want to do is just give it an input. I'll just use my past search here. Run that search, and then you get to see estimated sales, estimated clicks, and then sales by demand. Now, as you can imagine, as powerful as those data points and metrics are, they are exclusive to us. And as we aggregate and analyze data, I think this will really empower you with more decision making at the keyword level. A few practical ways that you can use this: again, sales data for keywords can inform things like if you're doing full purchase buys, rebates, different strategies that you want the insight at that keyword level if you're driving keyword driven sales, which most of us are. If you want to back that out, this is on a monthly view. So again, the estimated sales, if you were to back that out 30 days or divide that by 30, you can get a good estimate of daily sales for a keyword. Now, you could corroborate that, let's say, with last launch suggested numbers that we have in Seller.Tools, but keep in mind that number is really arrived at, and the strategy behind that is discounted giveaways. So what I like to share as a rule of thumb is instead of arbitrary, which many of us kind of have fallen prey to until some of these new data points, is taking roughly about a third of that last launch suggested and review and evaluate your keyword here in Keyword Insights, and then that should help inform how many full purchase buys you need to realize for page one visibility. And then, of course, some of these other metrics in terms of estimated clicks, very insightful. And then sales demand's another cool one where we're essentially looking at monthly sales divided by the demand or search volume for a keyword. It's sort of almost a conversion percentage at the keyword level. How many sales are being realized based on the traffic, that volume, and that demand? So again, this is something that is really cool at that keyword level visibility. It really kind of warrants its isolated tool and functionality here. And again, this is in beta, so keep that in mind in terms of the data that you see. Because it's exclusive, there's not really any other great sources to review this against or evaluate this data against. But I think it's going to empower you. It's going to be really insightful, and that's again why I think it's really aptly named Keyword Insights. So pretty cool stuff. Hopefully, again, if you guys enjoy some of the keyword insight metrics, let me know. Would love to see some thumbs up. Or if you have any questions, I'm going over again some of the other exclusive metrics, exclusive pieces that we have now available in Seller.Tools. One of the others that we just recently released, and with the flurry of activity that's been going on, I want to make sure it doesn't get lost in the shuffle of all the things that we're kind of dropping now and making available, but it is Keyword Wizard. Now we have separate content for that. There's a YouTube video where I walk through it a little bit more specifically, but at a high level, what I essentially want to share with you is how it works, how it walks you through each one of our powerful tools, and in a fashion to where there's no redundant work. You make a decision once, you get your most powerful keywords, and it still allows you to find red ocean opportunities. Often what you see now with keyword research is that it really is everybody do the same thing, and blue ocean, it's keyword density, so let's run a reverse ASIN over a reverse ASIN. Like, we're just chasing our tails, looking at the competitors, and at some point somebody's got to say, well, who's going to be the top one, right? Because he's not going to chase the competitor's tails. He's going to do something different. And that's really what we've aimed to achieve, and I think done a really great job with leveraging our tools through the Keyword Wizard. So how do you prompt this in your Seller.Tools account? If I'm in, from the product I selected here, this hyaluronic acid serum, what I'm going to do is click Add Keywords, Keyword Wizard, and then input what I believe to really be my main or master keyword. I almost always misspell it. I think I even misspelled it in the Keyword Wizard video. And I used to sell hyaluronic acid serum, so shame on me. But that is what we need at this point, is describing our product. So now, usually, a garlic press is a garlic press. Hyaluronic acid is actually, let me go ahead and add hyaluronic acid serum for the sake of clarity. And click Next. And what it's going to do next is ensure, through reviewing other similar keywords, and also running effectively a search based on our main keyword of top competitors. And this is where we identify who those are, essentially our top 3. Now, intuitively, this is often the lowest BSR, or really the highest visible competitors that we have, again, for that specific keyword that we've provided. So I'm going to pick these top 3, which is often the case. Definitely take the time in your example where if you're more intimately aware of a competitor, or somebody who's been on your radar, or somebody who, again, has done keyword research quite well. Now, again, that's often reflected in their low BSR, their high visibility, but we can go and click Next. And now it's going to take our main keyword, it's going to take our top competitors, and it's going to ensure we're effectively going to confirm what our master keyword is. This is going to inform a few things, what we know at Seller.Tools, what we're going to serve up and capture from Amazon, and things like automatic keyword harvesting, where we do the work in terms of delivering you future keywords through that feature. So I'm going to leave, based on the word cloud that you get, because you get through density, this is where you have visibility into recommendations for potential master keywords. But I'm going to go ahead and stick with hyaluronic acid serum because I like that as my master keyword. And now it's going to run a quick index. And what's really nice about this is that it lets you know what keywords you're indexed for or not. So that's very insightful, of course, because it's really a snapshot of performance of how you're doing right now. But it's often very intuitive that if you're indexed for a keyword, you at least want to keep it on your radar and deem it relevant. And you can do that very easily here through the keyword processor. So what I would do is review, and this is the steps that you can take here, is review the word and then the phrase. The phrase is going to be highlighted once you hover over each word in the keyword processor. And again, this is where we're deeming relevancy, whether it's relevant or irrelevant to our product. And so what I can do is bulk add those keywords that I'm indexed for, and then take some time to really closely evaluate the keywords that I am not indexed for, because these can again be those where it's branded terms I want to keep on my radar, or unique products I want to keep on my radar. And I have a bent when I run through something like Keyword Processor that I do want those keywords on my radar. I don't want to just pour everything over to relevant necessarily, but when I review it, if I'm on the fence, I'd much rather play it safe, mark it relevant, get the TSI plus insights, get some search volume insights, the competitor landscape, get the additional data points that you can get when it ends up in your Seller.Tools account. So for example purposes, and I didn't want to spend too much time on Keyword Wizard, I'm just going to go ahead and mark these as irrelevant. And again, these are the bulk options you guys have at the top here. Click Finish, and then it's going to take me to R2A. And the flow is AMZ report card, R2A, and then last search. And it's done again in that way to where if there's any overlap, you only make that decision once. You don't have to re-review a keyword, where if the results of what Amazon data gives us based on keyword density through R2A, and then last search is that lateral ideation, brainstorming, red or blue ocean keywords, where that's really has to be an essential piece of your keyword research, but you don't have to make a redundant decision. See the same keyword again and make a decision. So jump into Keyword Wizard, definitely check it out. I think you're going to find that it's so powerful, and the flow walks you through everything. It's really a great way to focus in your keyword research, and again, do it at a high level, do it fast. That's really what we all want. We don't want to be dealing in spreadsheets or doing the same thing as the next guy. Those are like your two biggest concerns, is wasting your time or feeling like you're doing the exact same thing as the next seller, because then you're going to look very similar, and who's going to win? And it's going to be a coin flip, and we don't want to leave it to chance, right? So I'm going to go ahead and X out of that. You can run Keyword Wizard yourself. Let us know if you've got any questions as you run through it, but I think you're going to find it immensely powerful. And the last thing I want to highlight, last but not least, is some of the new alerts that we have added to Seller.Tools. And you may have noticed our flow is a little bit different as well. We've built it in such a way to, again, really be able to walk you through it. And flow is a good word because it takes you from beginning to end in a very intuitive fashion. Now, the same product I was managing before for the hyaluronic acid serum, I'll use for this example. So it's got my selected product here. I can, again, search for any other product in my account. I think I have a vitamin C serum that I'm managing. Yep, got that there. And if I wanted to add that, be as simple as selecting it. But for now, I'm good to proceed with my hyaluronic acid serum. We also have the ability to use templates. This is a really great, efficient way to create an alert and apply it to multiple ASINs. That was a big request from users, is okay, we see the power of the alerts, but we want to apply them essentially across your account, across all of your ASINs. Now you can just as easily do that through some of the prior templates we have or alerts we have configured, just by simply selecting those. But what I really want to highlight for you guys right now is some of our brand new alerts. And this list has gotten long, and it's gotten pretty exciting because these are really cool ones. So few alerts that we have added to your Seller.Tools account. We have manufacturer. If the manufacturer changes, you can be notified right away. And again, keep in mind the cool ways that we alert you, whether it's email, in-app, Facebook Messenger, whether it's the Seller.Tools API, you can really tailor that. And that's really where I think some of the other ones come into play. Review count and review rating. Now, review rating, if you don't set that alert, I would be disappointed for you, because it's such an important piece of the selling equation. If you have been in the crummy situation of having a product go from 5 stars down to 4.5, down to 4, you know that that's about a 15-20% drop in revenue. It's such a tough hit often to your product performance and your business. So setting up something like that is very intuitive. And really the word I always use when we talk about our alerts is safeguarding your business. Is that, again, we always admit and look at the volatility on Amazon, and then we set up one alert. And it's like, okay, so what have you done to really make sure your listing, your ASINs, your business is safeguarded? So having these configured, review count, review rating, ASIN not found, a 404 error. That's if your listing is down and removed. Another alert that is very important. If you are serving clients, we have a number of agencies, consultants that work for us. If you have a client that you don't have this listing or this alert set up for, again, I'll be a little bit disappointed. It really is something that you should make sure you configure to safeguard their business. Listings coming down, that becomes immensely problematic because you can't can't realize sales on a listing that's not visible. So that's a really important piece of the equation. Out of stock, that's another really powerful one, where again, if you want to configure an alerts, that could really get advanced, where if you introduce the Seller.Tools API based on going out of stock, do you want to alert your supplier in an absolute worst case scenario? That may be more of an extreme one, but it's one of those things, again, really evaluate what you're doing to safeguard your business. You really shouldn't be counting on one hand how many alerts you have set up, because all of these things can really be adverse events, and where sellers are taking it as well is more advanced strategies in terms of how you can create subsequent actions based on these criteria. And for those that haven't seen, I'm going to encourage you to make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. I am about to drop auto SFB strategy, which is a really powerful strategy, but it really is important that you understand how to use alerts, because that's a key element in that strategy as well. And then we've got coupon code on listing. So you can be notified if a code is visible and available on a listing. You can be made aware both on your listing or a competitor's. You can use that however you'd like. So those are some really cool ones, and we have a few others that are on deck that we are going to be adding in short order. So between the flow, the use of templates, and the new alerts, I think we've got even more for you guys to really enjoy and make the most of your alerts. Cool. Awesome, guys. I'm going to take a quick second. I want to read some of your comments and questions as I click through and make sure I'm not missing anything. Hopefully, again, you guys enjoyed some of those exclusive. We touched on stock on hand, reviewable, keyword wizard, keyword insights, and then what we're doing now with alerts. And for those that aren't familiar, if you're hearing me say things like webhooks or the Seller.Tools API, hop on over to our site. Actually, I'll go ahead and pull up a separate tab here, and make sure you hop over to API integrations page, as well as the appropriate resources for that you would like to utilize it for. If you're looking into ManyChat, we've got free resources, information to get you set up there. Zapier is when you're, again, utilizing something like webhooks, pushing based on alerts being triggered, pushing different activities, and we really try to walk you through how to utilize these features and take full advantage of them. So definitely take a look. Cool. So I see some great questions, some great back and forth. Probably a quick refresh for awesome. The latest BOGO but has specific address fields. Cool. Hopefully those questions. It looks like you guys are having a great conversation there. So just call out anything if I can answer any questions as we go through everything. So now that we've touched on a few exclusives available now in Seller.Tools, it's really, I think, we're ready to set the stage for what we are releasing today. And when we started to develop a product research tool, it became very clear and very apparent in those conversations that a lot of us, even though we ran very successful, high volume, high revenue businesses, that product research tools weren't a big part of that equation. We couldn't really chalk our success up to product research tools because we never really felt immensely confident when we were starting and building our businesses. And times continue to change. There continues to be an evolution, but I think for us, when it came down to it, and it was time for us to develop our own tool, it was really, okay, what is important to us? What do we want as sellers that meets our requirements, that ensures that we're confident with the decisions that we can make? Because we know when you're just starting out with being a seller, getting into Amazon FBA, it's a relatively high investment. And if you're making decisions based on the data that you're getting from Product Research Tool, that's really no small task for them to deliver that value in the form of data and for you to make that decision. So it was really important for us to make sure that we felt extremely confident in what we were putting together. And this is really where the demand that we had as sellers, it was very specific, the criteria that we were looking for. We wanted to ensure when we delivered a product research tool, it was easy to use, it had accurate sales numbers, and accurate revenue figures, because that really speaks to the potential in a market, right? If you're really, when it really gets down to it, and as we walk through leveraging Prizm, our brand new product research tool, you'll see how when we get into the strategy behind it and we really start with a wider filter, that wider filter really should speak to the opportunity that's available to us. And that should be a financial opportunity as well, driven by accurate sales numbers, driven by accurate revenue. And those should be the guideposts. Because as you know, many other ways of just hopping on Amazon can lead you to finding product opportunities. It's these unique metrics and their ability to be right and accurate that make it different than just hopping on Amazon, plugging in a few keywords, looking at a listing with 2 images, and this very sort of rudimentary product research approach. But this had to be in our tool and in our platform to ensure that we were confident with our product research tool. And in that intuitive form and shape, it had to be very simplistic. We needed to know that somebody could come in, review some of the filters, review some of the data, and really get started. And what you're going to see is that this is a beta release. This is effectively a beta release of our tool to ensure that we are going to get your feedback. We're going to get your understanding and your direction when it comes to what you want to see as we take this feature and this tool really to the next level. And that's what's really exciting for us, is effectively introducing Prizm. And Prizm here, again, I've included the beta mention, and it's such an important piece of the equation. I think my head's probably blocking it right now, but let me move this over, because this is an important piece, and it's something to share with you as a key takeaway as we unveil this tonight, is that this is effectively a beta release of this tool. As I mentioned, what's so important for us is ensuring that those important metrics, that accuracy of the data, is truly the cornerstone, because that is enough of a point of difference. That is a big box to check. That is a box that still remains unchecked, maybe in other areas, other options that are available to sellers. So we had to start there. We had to ensure, okay, accuracy of data is the cornerstone, and then we effectively build from that cornerstone. And so again, I'm excited to really introduce and unveil Prizm to you. So you're going to find this now in your Seller.Tools account. And as I mentioned, and as the graphic kind of alluded to, this is a very intuitive interface for you to be able to easily hone in on different product opportunities. The accuracy of the sales and revenue data cannot be understated. It's such a crucial piece of the equation, because as you run through a variety of filters, again, the opportunity lies in your ability to realize a return. Your ROI really requires you to know what that return is, or that potential return. And as you deploy more advanced strategies, the way that you're going to see how you can utilize Prizm is that it's going to help you with things like competitive analysis to see how your competitors are performing. What kind of sales are they generating? What sort of volume, what sort of revenue are they generating, to be able to corroborate and really see how you can perform, or potentially are performing now if you are active and going up against that competition. So I'm going to get my head out of the way so you guys can see the full dashboard here. And we are really ready to dive into Prizm. Now, what I want to do in this video, because this is really unveiled and it's going live today, is that walking through this tool and understanding different product research methodologies are really things that we're going to continue to discuss and walk through over time. What's important right now is for you to understand how to navigate this tool, the power of the features, the power of the tool and the data itself, to ensure that if you run through tried and true research methods and you have a criteria that you have in mind, you can utilize it, and with the elevated and accurate data, you get really a new perspective, a new level of insight that should help empower your decision making and help your product research. So let's just go ahead and dive right into each one of the criterias and the filters that are available to you. So of course, viewing this sort of in a top down, is you have your category options. You of course can search all categories or multiple categories as needed. That's pretty straightforward in terms of being able to navigate how to utilize that. Then we have different filters here for sales and revenue. Now, this is an important piece and an important takeaway. What we do, and it varies from tool to tool, and this is where it can be a little bit tricky to drill down your sales and revenue and corroborate that or evaluate that against other tools, existing ASINs. What we look at is the prior full month to be able to capture sales and revenue. Again, sales is a number, it's effectively units, and revenue is going to be a dollar. Okay, so that's an important distinction. Then we have BSR, review count, review rating, and then of course fulfillment. This is where you can take a look, and let's say you wanted to find opportunities just in FBM, where FBA, there may be room for FBA opportunities to exploit. Sold by Amazon, are they there, but are they under optimized? You can isolate and identify that type of filtering, and just as easy as that. Then you got FBA fees. So of course, if you want to set a ceiling for how many FBA fees you want to realize for a product opportunity, you can do that. Sellers is the number of sellers on a particular ASIN. You've got price, and then we have a few additional filters here for prime eligibility, subscribe and save, and then product type. So you can ensure and identify whether it's a standard, a variation, parent ASIN, digital product, and so on. So that really helps to kind of niche down too, especially for category-specific considerations. If you are more closely competing against a variation, you can isolate that, review it, and take a deeper look into those results. And then of course, keyword field. Now this is where I think we're going to continue to explore with the beta release of Prizm. What you guys are probably expecting and can imagine from us is really a pivot and a build out for a keyword centric approach, and that's going to really be bolted on to Prizm, because once you unveil the data, it's a sort of the next step is just how you present it. That's really an understanding here in the SaaS space, is that's really the biggest thing, is once you unveil, and make the data piece and the data equation dialed in, then it becomes, again, how we present it. So keywords, which you guys know us for in terms of the power, us still using Amazon data for a number of key features, that's really what you can expect to see for 2.0 is that keyword-driven addition and element to Prizm. Then we've got show advanced filters. Now this is really where, again, you sort of take some of the accuracy of sales and revenue, and you capture and realize trend insights. Okay, so let's start from the top for estimated gross profit. So again, profitability being a crucial piece of the equation if you're determining ROI, if you're getting into a market, getting into a space, and determining the scope of the opportunity, having that visibility into profitability is huge. My personal favorites are these two here, and this is, again, sales growth. And you have a quick equation here as an example. So what it aims to convey is rate of increased sales over the previous month. So intuitively, if you wanted to set that as like 10, this is a percentage metric. So if you wanted to set the minimum as 10, that tells you over the past month there's been a 10% growth, sales growth that's been realized. And of course, we can add additional parameters, different fields and filters. But then it gives us that baseline of knowing, okay, this is an area of growth and potential. Same with revenue growth, where again, instead of looking at the numbers, you look at the dollars and understand how, at a percentage, what the rate of increase is over the past month. Then you've got sales to reviews, average number of sales to reviews as a ratio. So that's kind of a straightforward one where, again, you essentially look at sales relative to reviews. So if it's 3 sales to 1 review, that would be your effectively your ratio, and then you could take that 3 and add that, whether it's your minimum or maximum, and run your search from there. And then you have your review change. So that would be change in review quantity over the last 90 days. So you can really start to see if there has been a major uptick in reviews in that expansive time. It's a little bit more insightful, because it speaks to, has that space or your criteria or your search, has that been overtaken to a degree by a competitor who's coming in with the savvy, the sophistication to capture a large amount of reviews. Very cool. So that gives you, again, another idea of what you can look at with some of the advanced filters. Then we've got package dimensions. Now this is really where, if you're looking at, even small and light, if you have weight restrictions, very straightforward in terms of how you can dial that in and impose some of those limitations in some of your searches. Some people are going to say, I don't want to use those right now, like I want to leave the scope of the opportunity open. But as you continue in your journey, add new products depending on your space. Really dialing in dimensions is something that gets to be a bit more of an advanced strategy, but something you, of course, can deploy as well. So those are some of the filters that you can play with right way. This is really where the beta access now in terms of tapping into some of this information. And I'm going to run through some searches. You're going to start to see the power of the data that you're presented with and how you can navigate some of the next steps. But I'm going to see if you guys have any questions for me, and I really want to encourage you to drop those in now that we've taken a look at what we can start to do with Prizm, and then I'm going to dive right into a few results. So let's see. Aiden, a question: what's a good sales to review ratio? I mean, that's a really good question. It really depends, because I'm a big believer, and we're going to get in the philosophy of product research. I'm a big believer in flipping a lot of things on their head. So if it's one of those things where you would expect, let's say a 10 to 1 or a 15 to 1. So that means somebody's realizing a lot of sales and not a lot of reviews. Now, what you could start to sort of assume from that is that may be a seller that doesn't know how to necessarily capture reviews, right? Because then you can again look at what their sales are like against that ratio to understand, okay, wait, if they're only realizing a small number of sales, and then their sales to review ratio is fairly high, that's somebody that's turning sales and really missing out on reviews. They're almost not getting the other important piece of Amazon of social proof via reviews and optimization via reviews. And so that's kind of one of the quick and easy ways to think about leveraging a metric like that. Should we still sell lightweight products? You definitely still can. This is something where it's definitely open to be able to really dial in based on different dimension requirements, weight requirements. They're definitely still viable. I'm a very big believer in points of differentiation. We don't do, and we notice this, and I'll bring myself back in here. Hold on one second. We really notice this at Seller.Tools. A lot of us, and some of our most successful brands were in the deep end. We were in beauty, we were in supplements, we were in health and personal, and we were in a very, very saturated, very competitive spaces. And if we were to run a product research for probably some of our most successful products, it would probably tell us too much saturation. Yeah, tons of sales, tons of potential, and a big pie, but product research may have left us feeling like, okay, well, is that really the right sandbox to be playing in? And so I think it's really important, and I have a reminder of this a little bit later on, is to use your product research, always use it as a launching off point. It doesn't need to be your A to Z, it just needs to really be your launching off point. Because if you're looking at more advanced strategies, if you're deploying and leveraging more advanced tools, and hopefully we're sharing that either through tools or content, that if you have a competitive advantage and you realize that and you review the landscape and seeing that they're not deploying the same level of strategies, you can still go into very saturated spaces and do some really cool things. I'm going to asterisk that and make sure you drop that information in FBA Kings, have conversations with us, because I don't want you to jump into the deep end and take that advice the wrong way. It's just really understanding the perspective, is that being very fortunate to have grown, to have really worked in high volume, high revenue brands. Sometimes you run through these criterias and these filters and you realize, well, shoot, that wouldn't work, but that made me, that made 7 figures in a month, or it's just, you have to really take this as a launching off point, but not your A to Z. That's really what I share with you. Does that mean I'm downplaying the importance of Prizm? No, I would just much rather give you good advice than tell you to use this filter and rely on something, versus give as much insight as much value through our platform and through our tools. So hopefully that was beneficial. And I'm just taking a look at your guys' questions as we're hopping through things. We are UK Skin and new to Amazon. Just wondering if we did the right thing. If you were starting out today, would you start with skincare supplements? Oh man, great question. I think if I knew what I knew now, there was probably an expansive time from when I sold my business and then was consulting. I was still consulting actually in a very competitive space as well. So, and being a first-time consultant, it kind of had its own unique set of challenges. And they were high volume, high revenue. They were 8-figure seller, 8-figure earners. But what I would say is that knowing what I know now, I would still get into those spaces. They are very saturated. But if I can go in and understand my points of difference, know my numbers, have accurate sales and revenue numbers to really be able to back out my potential and what capital would be needed to really get in and fight the good fight, I definitely would. But it becomes a question of what's your level of investment to get into that space? Because I think what's happening, especially with the saturation, is it's becoming very black and white of, okay, yes, no, versus, okay, well, if you got to spend another $5,000-$10,000 to get into this bigger sandbox, you better know your advanced strategies. You better be deploying things like ManyChat. You better know predictable outcomes is a big thing that I would champion. Do you know how you're going to get your ranking? Do you know how you're going to get your reviews? If you can answer some of the big questions and you can automate and scale that, I'm still a big. I still think a lot of sellers are underperforming right now. There's still a lot of meat on the bone for folks to be able to, to really realize the opportunity of FBA at scale. And again, to bring that kind of back to product research, this is a unique space for us to really unveil this and make it available now, where because we were so known for keywords and then we were known for API and advanced strategies, we started to kind of remove ourselves from everybody because everybody was really kind of doing a few things, and now we're automating things and figuring out how to 3-person teams and 5-person teams can make 8-figure businesses and like really advanced stuff. So if you know that, and you can know your numbers and have a point of difference, I'm getting kind of on a philosophical soapbox, but that's that's the long and short of it. Hopefully, hopefully that answers your question to a degree. It's really, again, just kind of knowing your numbers and creating predictable outcomes in your business. 80-20 every day in terms of what's working for you, and then scale that. It's kind of a similar model to what's championed for Facebook ads, is that you test, you optimize, and you scale. You do that same thing, same philosophy in in an Amazon business, and then really scale from there. So a lot of great questions coming in, but I want to bring it right back to Prizm, because I'm sure people joining in are going to be like, wait, you guys just unveiled this, tell me more. And there's a lot we can do with this, right? So let's have a little bit of fun by applying some filters. And what I really shared when I've gone over this, we've had a good amount of sort of pre-beta, sort of almost alpha testers give some really solid feedback. And really what always sort of came up in terms of using a tool like this and using some of the more accurate data to your greatest benefit is really treating it like a funnel, is being really wide, being willing to get your hands dirty and dig into the numbers and the results to find that product opportunity. So I think if I hop back over there to my, I'm just clicking away here, is really thinking about filtering ideas with some of that better data, is really high level filters that you narrow based on the results that you see. Is that you're tapping into tens and 50 million some odd ASINs as that list continues to grow. Keep it wide and think about really narrowing it in terms of filtering. And so, those that haven't completed product research before, again, we're not going to deep dive so much into the strategy right now. We have tons of time to be able to do that. But what I want to really share with you is a nugget of ideas. You get your Seller.Tools access, or if you currently have access, you're able to start with some of these high-level filters. Look at things like fast growth. Look at sales growth, minimum sales growth, minimum sales for a number of categories. If we bring that back over into Prizm, let's say I want to take a look at, let's see what filter I was going to use. Fast growth. So sales growth percentage, 10% as a minimum, and then sales of at least 500 units. So again, that speaks to a good amount of growth there. So add in the sales growth and the sales, and let's see. Let's run a search. Why don't we try a few different filters here? Let's try sports and outdoor. Let's see what kind of results we get. And let me go ahead and just dial that in one more step by making sure that there is not a number of competitors. There's only 2 competitors, a max of 2 competitors on the ASINs we get. And then let's go ahead and dive into what kind of results that we can get from our search criteria. And this is, again, where your filters should really be informed by your results, right? You really shouldn't come in and think, okay, this course or this information said use these exact filters, and then I've got to go into Prizm, and it's like, wait, I can imagine that everybody's seeing the same thing or doing the same thing, and that's really what we want to make sure we don't do. And this is the line we have to toe entering the product research phase or product research space, is that we want to make sure that you know we've succeeded in pretty much every area that product research tells you not to, right? And that's kind of cool, but it's a little bittersweet because it encourages us for you to think outside the box when you're leveraging this data. And so let me dive back into some of the results and give you an idea of what you can see here in Prizm. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this second result here for a resistance loop band. So we have this ASIN. It's a bestseller. It's earned the bestseller badge. Lower price, low BSR, so obviously crushing it in its space. And we've got reviews and review rating visibility here as well. Now that sales to revenue, this is important to be able to have insight into this as well as the trend insight, right? Because our criteria set it as a minimum of 10% sales growth. And so at a glance, we can see what the true metric is here for both sales and revenue. So this is a product, and our graph reflects as much, that's realizing a pretty solid and substantial uptick in sales. So if I click on the graph, what it's going to give me is that specific sales and revenue graphed together. So let me see if I can go ahead and just pull out some of the trend data. Actually, I want to expand that window, not shuffle it. There we go. And then we can see their performance month over month with accurate sales and revenue figures. And now, again, this is really insightful to be able to have this accurately to define and understand the performance of this ASIN, if this is a space that we're getting into, and understanding, again, how they're doing both performance and health-wise through sales and revenue insights. So again, resistance loops, this is going to be a very tough space, resistance bands in general. But if I'm selling resistance bands, the way I'm thinking about using Prizm is I'm going to make sure that I know that ASIN. I might bring it over to Competitor Builder, check stock on hand. I might do some of those things, but I'm going to keep a very close eye on their performance. And this is, again, where we talk about with this beta release 2.0 is us capturing some of the other feedback and request items that you guys are looking for out of Prizm. I can't really stress that enough. We wanted to make sure that we had accurate sales and accurate revenue, and we started there and we built from that center. It's sort of like, okay, the biggest thing, the biggest pain point, check that box off, get you guys in, make sure you can leverage filters, and then take your feedback and turn it back into the platform. Undoubtedly, if you have not seen where you can share feature requests, feedback requests, it's as easy as finding it right here in Seller.Tools. Make sure you can see that. Okay, in the bottom left, feature request. It takes you to a quick and brief form where you can let us know, hey, I love Prizm, but I'd love to see this. Hey, I love Prizm, but I'd love to add this element. We want to make sure that we really not only just, okay, we've addressed the sales and the figures and making sure we're good to go there, but where we take it next is driven by you guys. This is really where a platform of sellers by sellers gives it such a unique twist to you in terms of value, to the marketplace, and what it can ultimately really do for your business. So again, we can dive into some of the other graphs. As you guys know and are familiar with Seller.Tools graphs, you can filter and sort these to get a smaller view of, let's say, a trend, a cross-section of time. If you wanted to see year-to-date performance, it looks like, again, this one was kind of coming out of nowhere towards last year and then just ramped up. You can filter right from there. Then we have price BSR, and I have a strong feeling this product, and my suspicions are correct. It's maintained the same price, but there has been some changes to BSR. Now, you get this both graphed and juxtaposed because sometimes that can be insightful to see, okay, if price has dropped or has increased, how, if in any way, that has impacted BSR. So really cool way to be able to see that with the same filtering there as well. Then you've got review count and review rating. Now, this again gives you a really good insight, and this is kind of an intuitive way. Sometimes you find some anomalies where you can see how that trends over time. Now, that rating has held strong of 4.5 stars, but the count over time, of course, it looks like it's been a nice, healthy, and gradual increase. No hiccups, no hops in review count that you can suspect, monitor. If you see a competitor that all of a sudden looks like they're dialing something in or has done a really great job with reviews, or you feel like they've done that with past performance, this will give you that visibility that you can dive into in terms of some of the results. So pretty cool visibility through graphing some of that data, some of those insights, and then of course just really confirming dominant category, dimensions some of the results, as well as weight. Again, if you set that filter, it's going to provide you different results based on the inputs that you provide. And one of the other quick and easy, my clicking is just out of control, market potential is another one. It's just as a really good starting place. Again, as we go over more and we add more to Prizm, we're going to go through different case studies and different examples, but again, I can't encourage you enough to think of it as really as a funnel. As you start getting in there, be willing to go wide and narrow it down. Let the results drive some of the results. If you're doing ideation, if this is the first time you're doing product research, that's really what I'm going to recommend you do, and is limiting by. That's really what I'm stressing there, is making sure that the filters, you don't inject them all at once, because that nugget of opportunity, that potential product, could be found by having a wider scope and then just narrowing it over time. So let's go and just run a market potential search to find what kind of results we get through running that through Prizm. So let's say we say in sports and outdoors, I'm going to go ahead and just reset my filters and run through that same criteria, 500 for sales, so units, and then a 3.8 review rating. Now, what are we sort of guessing by 3.8? Now, if we went for 3.7, we would be welcoming closer to, of course, 3.5 stars. But really, anything below 4 stars, and I'm again speaking as somebody who's pretty confident with optimization and strategies that I can deploy to really kind of outperform listings that are 4 stars or less. But this gives me a really strong place to say, okay, if they're already kind of wavering, they're less than 4 stars, there's the potential to really peel back that a little bit more and see what kind of results I get. So let's hop back over to sales, and then we include the review rating, and we can run a search. Uh-oh, now it's gonna give me trouble here. And as you guys are working through this, let us know. Beyond the feedback, your questions, your insights are always really helpful. That was a big thing, again, as we went through alphas. We had some initial testers to really come in and talk about some of the filters they use, what they look for, what they don't look for, and what they'd like to see. And that's really, again, going to show up in additional iterations of Prizm. So it looks like it's just taking a second here. I'm going to just reset it and do a quick refresh and run me a brand new search. I might go ahead and close out of my other tab here too. Go ahead and run sales, and then we'll say a review rating of 3.8. Okay. All right. I guess it's just not happy with me right now. That's just my luck. I'm gonna hop over and see if I can answer some of your guys' questions real quick. And do bear with us, guys. As I mentioned, I really want to be straightforward about this beta release. We had developed this tool. We had the data that we have aggregated, we've analyzed, and we really decided as a team, it's like, we have this, we know it's such a pain point, why don't we just make it available and let users drive anything else that we do with the platform and the tool. And so that's really where we look to you guys to let us know, what else you see, how else you can utilize it, how you're using it in your business, and the different ways that you can leverage it ultimately, right? There's so many things that you can do with this data in hand. Now this is going to be my luck because we're doing a live and I've got screen share and all kinds of other fun stuff pulled up. So let's see some of your questions. Can you build a G sheet of all the advanced strategies that can be done with Seller.Tools, like a checklist? I think we're going to continue to really try to build out some of the content. I think you're going to really love the auto SFB strategy. I haven't seen anything as advanced and potentially automated. It's very similar to Keyword Wizard, where it's like we want expert level keyword research, but we want to spend like that much time on it. It's the same thing with this strategy. I think you guys are going to love it. Be sure to sub to our YouTube channel so you don't miss it. But yeah, we will definitely keep delivering some content. I'm just trying to think. one of the interesting things is that there's a ton that you can do. That's probably why you asked the question. So you put me on the spot a little bit. There's so much that you can do with the API and automations that it's that list could be, it could be 100 things. It could be 500 things. So I'd love to know is what do you want to see, or what objective do you want to realize, and then maybe we can back that out, kind of reverse engineer the right types of tools and automations from there. But yeah, we'd love to put more content and info out there. Awesome. Glad to hear that was inspiring, Sensei. And keep at it. Stay in Kings. FBA Kings, our Facebook group, where we really try to stay engaged with you guys. Such an awesome community that helps. My goodness, that helps with so much information, so much insight, a lot of experience. Yeah, it's really a great way to stay engaged. How do we know if a product is a fad, say fidget spinner? I think, Aiden, great question. Really taking a look at the trend insights. So that typically is your metrics, the things that we're looking at in terms of sales and revenue growth. So percentages often reflect trends, and based on the cross-section of time that you look at, if you hop into some of the charts, that's really where you can evaluate and see, okay, there's a peak, there's a valley, and really understand, is there seasonality at play here? Is there a fad at play here? And is that something you want to take advantage of? Because you know it's two sides of the same coin, right? Where you could get into a space unbeknownst to you, it's a fad and it's seasonal, or you could intentionally get into a space to where you want to leverage all of the upside and mitigate the downside, right? So cool. So again, filtering ideas with better data. That's really what we aim to do right now with the filters, the data that is available in Prizm, and clicks around. And what I'm really wanting to share and make sure that you avoid when using any sort of product research tool, Prizm included, is really just not deploying red ocean strategies. This atrocious graphic displays, it looks like a bunch of bacon. It is meant to convey red ocean, right? Is do not feel like or take the actual steps as everyone else, applying the same filters, and even to degree using the same tools. I see that a lot, and it's kind of it becomes a question of, are we all doing the same thing and expecting a different result? And that's really what you have to challenge yourself with. And it's no different to Prizm when you apply filters and you use different searches and use some of the information. It's a little bit why, as we share strategies over time, we're not gonna light you up with a bunch of, okay, think about this one way to do it, and now we have an influx of 1,000, 5,000 sellers doing the same thing. You really have to view it as an approach, as a launching pad, as opposed to a true roadmap of A to Z. And that's really, again, where that red ocean, that saturation really becomes problematic. Because that filter analogy really is fitting here, is really starting wide, thinking from the top down, whether it's category specific, whether it's sales potential. That's really what you're aiming to use as your starting place. And then let the results, let the insights, let Amazon to a degree tell you where the potential is, right? We're playing in the same sort of the same sandbox that is Amazon. That's already where we're at. And Amazon will give you often a pretty good indication of where that blue ocean potential is, or where you have a competitive advantage, or where a competitor is underperforming, and you can be informed through having that type of approach. And constant reminder, this is something we always want to share and kind of keep top of mind, is that those with different results do things differently. So whether it's the tools you use, if you're using the same thing as everybody else and following the same criteria, and then you're feeling so frustrated in your business, catch yourself and make sure, wait, is there a herd mentality at play here, and what are the successful few doing? And that's really, again, what we aim to do with our content, with our tools, and especially with Prizm, right? We wanted to make sure, what's the biggest pain point? It's that accuracy of sales and revenue. And now that you have it, you can graph it, you can evaluate it. You're effectively ready to deploy it and make the most use of it. So now that Prizm has dropped, effectively what we are doing is we are making it available for all plans for unlimited access, an infinite number of searches, because again, we embrace the fact that this is a beta release. We want to take that data and empower you with it and let you use it and make decisions from there. as I alluded to, being able to use the feature request, giving us that feedback, letting us know what else you'd like to see, what other ways that you can use the data, would like to see the data. We take that insight very seriously. It's informed some of the things that we've done. Estimated sales at the keyword level, stock on hand. The exclusive features we've just dropped have been, in large part, based on user feedback and what we want as sellers as well, right? We want to leverage that advantage. So there is a deadline in which this beta or this 1.0 release will end, and we will limit searches to the light plan. Our lowest tier plan at $57 a month will have 30 searches per month with unlimited searches on subsequent plans. So that's something to keep in mind as you get in now. We wanted to make sure, okay, we've got it, it's available. Prizm can be accessible to you at any level of access, and you can run it and utilize it as much as you need in your business. So you can take full advantage ultimately with your access, because keep in mind there is more to come with Prizm. And I just wanted to highlight one of the things that we've done and are working on, and that is our own listing quality score. And you've seen this probably before in the past, maybe elsewhere, and it's very simple. And to be honest, there's probably the indelicate way to say it is that it doesn't quite meet our expectations. We aren't just looking at title, we're not just looking at bullet points or descriptions or even images. There's a lot of criteria, and I've purposely blurred out the number of variables that we want to look at to give you really an expert level listing quality score, something I think is missing that will inform optimization. Because simple things like having only 3 images or having a description that meets this criteria or that just really isn't enough. It's not enough to make an informed decision that's gonna require your capital and require your investment. And that's really what's unique about product research, right? Is that it's bigger decisions are often involved in that step. In most cases, more than most decisions that you make in your business, right? So there is more to come, and there's more that we're going to be dropping and making available to you guys as well. So just a quick recap of some of the things that we've delivered after going over a handful of exclusive features that we've dropped really only in the last 2 weeks. We do have some of the most exclusive data. We've got estimated sales, we've got sales to demand, we still have TSI Plus, one of the few places in which you can get real-time Amazon data. You've got Pulse in your account, you have historical search volume, you've got so many different data points that are readily available to you. You have Reviewable, you have stock on hand, all of those data points and features with a very heavy bent on quality first. I think what's really unique in our space is that this real big focus on quantity is leaving so much room, a lot of meat on the bone for satisfying sellers, especially again in that backdrop of feeling like, man, am I doing the same things as everyone else and the same tools and not cutting through and not really feeling like you're at that next level. And that's the challenge and the table that's been set for us, is making sure that we put quality first, so that way if we check off a box, and that's why we lead something like product research with, wait, what's the biggest pain point everyone has? Nobody feels comfortable and confident with this data. Let's start there, and then add filters, add a more built out listing quality score, and all of these other additions that we want in our tools. And of course, accurate sales and revenue figures. And I didn't really dive too much into that because I want you to do that. I want you to take advantage of those being available now to you in your account. And of course, as we mentioned, all the while having the most advanced tools available. This is the tall task of trying to quantify the number of features we have. Even as I mentioned, quality first. The API allows you to do thousands, tens of thousands of things. So we get asked that a lot. How many tools do you? Well, we have the API, and it's kind of what advanced sellers are doing, and it kind of does thousands of things. So it can't be put in this nice little clean box. So it's important for us to make sure that even though we have some of the most advanced tools, we're delivering on quality, and we're not just focused on quantity. We're not just churning things out and then creating an environment where everybody's really just kind of doing the same thing, and we're not giving you unique value, and that unique value is not showing up in your business. That's such an important thing for us as we develop more tools. And I see a quick question. I'm going to tackle this. Any new updates coming for the API? I think you're going to be probably pretty happy with some of the upcoming updates there as well. So yeah, we've been busy, guys. So you're probably like, okay, you guys dropped a beta on us. Well, what does this mean? What does this entail? We've gone over like 5 exclusive features. The API's got another update. You guys probably saw a little something too in my account. A little something like this where, okay, we've got maybe something else coming soon. So yeah, it's a very exciting time for Seller.Tools, for Seller.Tools users. So I'm going to really encourage you to stay tuned. I think, again, to bring it back to some of the content that we're dropping, I think it's really some of the most advanced stuff. And I really want you guys to really evaluate that and make sure that I'm delivering that for you guys, because I think it's really cool, and we can since we focus on tools, our content can really just be as powerful, as impactful as it can be, and that's what we aim to do when we put it out there. So, but yeah, long answer. I apologize, James, but we do have a few more and very exciting things that you'll probably see on the API as well. So a reminder, guys, always use our Seller.Tools resources. We've got a slew of things that are at arm's reach, whether it's coaching available in your Seller.Tools account, whether it's simply our support. If you have questions on how better to use the tools, we're available to you guys. We have the Academy, content that is evolving, that is growing, that is in some ways really focused on some of the more advanced features, because that's usually where we get most questions. A lot of sellers, and I think rightfully, are kind of looking at, okay, what's next, what's the evolution, and what's the advanced strategies, and that's really what we're gearing the Academy towards, is making sure that you're not feeling like that's too out of reach to be able to start deploying those strategies, using some of those tools, and benefiting from that as well. And then, of course, we got the FBA Kings community. Yeah, I see the mention there in the comments. Yes, FBA Kings community. It's just an awesome group. You guys are awesome. I think a lot of the folks that are joining us live are part of that community. I think it's really supportive. I try to make every effort to be as engaged in there as possible, which I think I'd love to see that more. I try to hold myself, again, to kind of a high standard there, where it's just not a place where we just send people and leave you hanging. We want to be available to you. We want to empower you, whether it's Seller.Tools or business. It can kind of just be a great place to talk about, talk shop, talk about e-com, talk about Amazon, and support each other as we go along this journey together. So, guys, I think that really kind of covers what I've had ready for you in today's call, today's live, not necessarily a call, busy day, today's live. And so what I want to encourage you to do is, if you are not a Seller.Tools user, is to kick off your 14-day free trial. I want to make it clear that right now it is available to everyone to be able to have access to Prizm. If you have Seller.Tools access, whether you're in a trial, whether you're in our light plan, which is our lowest tier plan, or in some of the highest tier plans, you have unlimited access to Prizm. And we wanted to make sure there was no additional cost. There's no there's nothing else that you have to do. It's just unlocked, available for you to be able to take full advantage of. And yeah, it's really at your fingertips. And I can't encourage you enough. Like I said, if you're checking out this content after the fact, use our feedback forms. We have just gotten such awesome feedback from users that we turn around. Our team does an awesome job of turning that stuff around, having it show up in your account, whether it's minor preferential things, whether it's exclusive features. Definitely put that to use. We want to make sure that shows up for you. But again, I encourage you to take full advantage of your 14-day free trial, and all of this that we've touched on is available to you now. So again, hopefully this was exciting for you guys. Drop some more questions for me. I want to make full advantage. I know we're going just over the hour mark here, and really appreciate you guys joining us from other time zones, from New Zealand to UK. Let's see, did I miss any others? All right. God save my God. I think you guys are having fun in the chat. That's great. That's great. I'll bring it right back. let me know if you guys have any other questions, because if not, we will wrap it up. And it got dark here. I am in what is often sunny Orlando, so I'm not well as lit. Hopefully you guys can still see me okay, but it got dark on me. All right, guys. Well, if there is not much more in the way of questions, let's see. Tal, I do want to make sure I answer your question. It's overwhelming, too many things to do. When I suggest a matrix with then only share. Okay. I'm going to tackle this question. Sorry, guys, I did say I was going to wrap up, but I want to make sure this question gets answered. The most important things in an Amazon business really are review and ranking. I mean, that's really it. Ranking is visibility, visibility is revenue, and reviews are the lifeblood. It's the social proof on Amazon. So if all day, every day you come in to work and you focus just purely on how am I going to get better ranking and more reviews, you are going to be ahead of probably 90% of the pack. That's such an important piece of the equation, and really just cutting out anything that's extraneous to that. I mean, even when you're using Seller.Tools, I would even encourage you to try to be as efficient as possible. Like, set up your alerts, done. Make sure your reviewable status is configured so you have visibility into that, done. Make sure your alerts include ranking so you have visibility, and again, I'm going to touch on this in auto SFB. You have visibility into any rank changes, because you may have it may impact your strategy to a degree. You have a reaction to losing rank or achieving a specific rank, but use tools with those priorities in mind. And so, of course, where my mind goes, and this is really where, if you're not there yet, that's totally fine. Really build the foundation to get there. But ManyChat has to be a tool in your toolkit. There's so much we can do with the API, so much we can do to better serve customers, let alone ranking and reviews, that ManyChat gives us. That it's that tool that just keeps on giving. We can over deliver, we can over communicate, we can get that ranking, we can get that reviews, we can build that list, we can mitigate negative reviews. That's another kind of cool thing with the API, is that it allows us to, if our competitor's not using it, they're doing things manually, so they're wasting time or paying a VA more than what they're paying to have a tool do it in real time, automatically, without human error, without a delay to your customer. Like, you have to really think of the implications sometimes of, if $57 or $97 seems like a lot, well, think about the opposite. Well, it's like, okay, if you're effectively hourly rate, if you're bringing that way down, or you're hiring a VA and then they're a delay and then they have human error and then they interact with your customer, can they provide top level 5-star support? Or it really takes you down a rabbit hole. So I can understand. I believe you had the question about more advanced stuff, the specific things that you can do, but focus disproportionately on ranking and reviews. Use tools to help you safeguard your time, to automate those important steps, and really scale it, because that's really the biggest thing I think that sellers can sometimes run into, right? Is that you feel like you've got to go A to Z with everything, where if you can really just do A, B, and C right and go very deep and not wide, that's really where you can cut through. And where sellers are winning right now is when they're going really deep with ManyChat. And I'm not just talking about doing these little simple things like distributing promo codes. Like, I'm talking really advanced stuff that you can do, and really obsessing over that being really an important and crucial opportunity. Let's see, for the new review alert, does it monitor individual reviews or your total rating? Is that for the review counts? Because for the review counts, it's a change in the review number. So once you've configured it, if you've realized another review, and then the review rating would be for at the ASIN level, would be a change, in the review rating itself. Hopefully that answers your question well. Cool, guys. All right. And I think I'm going to bring this right back up. Again, don't forget 30 free days, essentially, of unlimited searches. And that really just ensures that those are the light plan. I don't think for $57 a month, you just can't get as good a data as you can use with Prizm. So definitely hop in there, jump into Prizm, start using some of the filters that we've touched on. to get started with your product research. And I think it's just not happy to see me right now. Set those filters, run those searches. Let us know some of your results. Bring it back into Kings, and let's definitely start a conversation as to how you want to utilize this data, how this feature can benefit you, and put it to great use. And that is correct, Aiden. So once it hits the September 7th deadline, it will be available on an unlimited basis for starter plans and up. And I would not be surprised if by that September 7th deadline, Seller.Tools has just that much more in terms of features. We just have a lot in the works. So we wanted to get this out to you guys. Hopefully you enjoy it. And we love the idea of for sellers, by sellers, like it's just sellers just hashing out the best way to use tools, addressing the biggest pain points in terms of sales and revenue. Keeping in mind, that's again another big takeaway, is it is the prior full month. And you'll notice that as you review some of the charts, the graphs, and dig into the data, that is the case. Awesome, guys. All right. I think with that, we will leave it there. Feel free to hop over into FBA Kings and continue the conversation. If this was helpful, drop some more comments for me. If you have questions, I would appreciate it if you like the video and you can share it. Again, subscribe. I am going to make sure that we drop, again, that really for free, some of the most advanced strategies I think you'll see. And yeah, take me to task if you don't think so. I'm going to make sure I deliver on what you're going to be able to do with automation, with a strategy such as Auto SFB. So thanks again, guys, for joining me live. Those that catch this later, hopefully enjoy everything. I'm excited about Prizm, excited about what I teased a little bit earlier. There's just going to be so much that we're going to be dropping for you guys, and really appreciate you and hope you have a wonderful night or a wonderful day.